I'm Tim, welcome to Watch Want, and thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Armin Strom Blue Chip Automatic, 46.5 millimeters in 18 karat rose gold. This skeletonized automatic can be seen and purchased on our website, watchyouwant.com. If you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. Now you can see on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference. This watch is big, but that's a good thing because in the name of total disclosure, a skeletonized watch needs to give you as large a field of vision as possible. Bigger in this case means more to love, and there is a lot to love on this completely skeletonized dial and movement. But first I want to talk a little bit about the fit of the case. No two ways about it, the fit of the case is large. At 16 centimeters in circumference, my wrist is right on the edge of viability for this piece. 15.15 millimeters thick, it actually feels a little bit thicker than that, and the weight is incredible. Now you can see that because of the unique profile of the case, I have to actually admit that due to the coining, as well as the upward and outward flare, it kind of reminds me of a huge rose gold peanut butter cup, but you can also see that because of the large outcropping at 9 o'clock, which is a visual counterbalance to the crown at 3, from the side, this watch has very low odds of clearing any kind of sleeve or dress cuff. Heck, there are even some jackets that are going to have trouble getting up and over this one. So from a formal perspective, it's not going to pair easily with a tight sleeve. However, it is outstanding in its elegance and its refinement, principally in the nuances of the case construction and the endless depth and detail of the dial and fully skeletonized movement. Now, Armin Strom is known for skeletonized movements. Although they do build in-house calibers today, it's the work that the company adds to the existing caliber, whether in-house or customer caliber, that defines the value of this watch and the appeal of every Armin Strom timepiece. I do want to talk about the case on the outside because the details are as exquisite outside as in. Now the lugs themselves are soldered on. They have strong thrusting geometries and a surprising use of angular facets. Most watches tend to use curvature or compound curvature to define the lugs. Defining the lugs here is more a matter of creating distinct planes and strong forms. You could see that the end bars for the strap are actually screwed in, and robustly so the construction of the case is bomber. And likewise, it feels incredibly robust, incredibly substantial in the hand. You can see the bolstering and the sheer cut of this alligator leather strap. As it approaches the case, it flares immensely as it approaches the lugs. This is a very substantial strap, and if you squeeze it in the hand, you can feel just how much depth and thickness and toughness it has to it. Very impressive. And the buckle is a gorgeous piece in its own right. Like the rest of the watch, well defined by a number of distinct planes, notches, steps. Everything about it is the opposite of generic. Even a piece this minute has been carefully considered. But in terms of carefully considering details and rendering them exquisitely, not even the double-stepped bezel and the impressively faceted case flanks with their coining can compare to the engraved movement. It is completely engraved and skeletonized, and those are two different métiers d'art, as they say, two different artistic disciplines. There's engraving and there's skeletonization. Armin Strom, from the 1960s till his retirement in 2011, was a watchmaker in every sense, but legendary for his work engraving custom pieces and low-volume pieces for other manufacturers. Now, from 2006, he incorporated his own manufacture, and every watchmaker who works there is at least versed to some degree in engraving and skeletonization. Engraving being the hand-laid channeling of images, forms, and patterns on metal surfaces, and skeletonization is the punching out of plates and bridges. So this is distinct from guilloche in that guilloche is always done with the aid of a rose lathe. This engraving is completely freehand, and that's the distinction between engraving and guilloche. The distinction between engraving and skeletonization is while engraving and guilloche remove metal, they don't pierce straight through a structural or cosmetic member. They don't actually punch through and show daylight from the other side. That's what skeletonization does, and it pairs away all but the essential structural, functional elements of the plates, the bridges, the rotor. And for good measure, the engraving is then laid on the remaining skeletonized metal surfaces. As a result, this watch is completely distinct from any Valjoux 7750 watch you're going to encounter. The fact is that the amount of value that goes into the actual engineering of a movement like this pales in comparison to the amount of blood, sweat, tears, and sheer man-hours that goes into finishing it. And the finish is exquisite. You're going to see things here that you will never see on other watches. First and foremost, I want to call out the parts that are normally rote mechanical items that are here beautifully revised by the artisan's hand. Now you can see at the center, just below the hands themselves, kind of a unique form. You could see the hour wheel at center underneath the hands. The cannon pinion sits right below that, and then right next to it you can see the minute wheel, which you might not be able to see. The minute wheel is right under my thumb. It's that little silver disc. What you might not be able to see is that in this case the minute wheel, normally a very rough-hewn piece in a conventional watch, is not just polished, but the polishing has been embellished with engine turning. Much like the perlage of the base plate of a conventional movement, it has been beautifully reimagined, and it's a gorgeous element of this total composition. Underneath the Armin Strom marquee, I can see elements of the keyless works. Now, one of the Achilles heel of most skeleton dials and skeleton movements is that if you see the keyless works, oftentimes these pieces are kind of bare, rough, unfinished. It's almost as if they've been revealed and they've been caught with their pants down. Now, with the Armin Strom movement here, they're beautifully black polished, and they actually flash and explode as you move them through the light, as do many other elements. This watch takes all elements of the movement, not just those visible through the case back, and not just those visible on the tops of the bridges, the rotor, visible portions of the plate. Takes all elements, even takes the outer portions, as you can see here, outer portions of the base plate itself running around the circumference. All of them are improved by hand, featuring various arabesque, floral, almost Art Nouveau forms that add incredible texture and nuance. You can get lost in this movement, first with the naked eye, and then later, as you dig deeper, with the loupe. And because of the depth of the 7750 movement, here the traditional Achilles heel of the 7750, that it's something of a hamburger, very thick at almost 8 millimeters, a bit of an ugly duckling because there's so much apparatus stacked up, it becomes a genuine asset because the depth of all those components creates a veritable jungle of swirled, engraved, polished, and uniquely finished mechanical members. This is a work of art, and all the better for it. Thicker is better in this case. This is a masterpiece in every sense. More of an article of handmade art than an engineering achievement. This is for the lover of the rare trades, of trades that cannot be serialized, of movements that, because of the amount of hand labor involved, can never really be mass-produced. You can make 7750s, but you can't make them like this. Now, all the traditional merits of the 7750 are retained. 46-hour power reserve, extremely efficient unidirectional winding via a very heavy precious metal winding weight. This can charge itself up no problem. And because the case is so incredibly massive, you don't really feel that unidirectional winding wobble in this watch. When I first picked it up, I was a little bit deceived because I knew it was 7750 based, but I didn't feel that kind of off-kilter wobble that you normally get when the rotor starts to move in one of these. And that's, again, a measure of refinement that's added more incidentally than anything else, but does make a difference on the wrist. Also, because it is a 7750 and retains the hacking feature, when you do pull the crown, it does stop the balance, which you can see is now stationary in the watch. There you go. So you can precisely synchronize to a reference time. So everything that's wonderful about the mass-produced, bulletproof, thoroughly reliable, dead precise 7750, plus elements of artistic embellishment that you can get so few places in the modern Swiss watch industry. This is the opposite of mass production. A métier d'art beautifully crafted in the tradition of Armin Strom. Now retired, he presides over a company that consists of all of about 19 people based in Biel-Bienne in Switzerland. This is the definition of craft-level watchmaking. As good as it gets, 18-karat rose gold, 46.5 millimeters in diameter. You can see it, and you can purchase this Armin Strom blue chip skeleton automatic on our website, watchyouwant.com.